Eric, what's up, baby?
Hey Goose, how's it going, man?
Great, dude. How the hell are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. When did your journey as an entrepreneur begin?
Very early on. I suppose one of the first stories that I recall was, or two, and they're pretty charming, actually. My mom wouldn't often have cash. Like we'd always want to go to Carl's Jr., but she just didn't want to have that much money. They call it like Hardee's in the Midwest. But I was really big into Pokemon. So some days I would sell cards. I'd trade them and then sell some on the during like recess or whatever. I think it was in middle school at this time. Or no, I was in elementary school at this time. And so I'd sell those and sometimes I'd make like 15 or 20 bucks in a day, which is really good for a middle schooler. So I remember doing that to buy, because if my mom didn't have enough money that day, we couldn't go. So I'd be like, okay, I could totally take us. And so I remember a couple days of doing that. And then later on in high school, my family was never really good at talking to me about sex at all. In fact, I'm sure my dad's still a virgin. And so from that point in high school where they like were like, oh, hey, you should probably like to have that conversation but not have that conversation, my mom's solution was to just buy me a box of condoms, and had no idea what to do with those. So I had like a stack of CDs, empty CD cases, because I would like burn new ones in the morning. So what I would do is I'd take 4 condoms and I'd put them in a CD thing, and then I'd sell it for like a few bucks. I don't remember what I sold it for, maybe like 10 bucks, something like that. And I was like, oh shit, this is making great money, because like selling condoms, they're in high school, people were like, oh yeah, I'll buy those. Who knows? I might need them at some point. Um, so those were the two earliest like standout entrepreneur things that I remember with myself, like at the beginning.
Wow, those are great stories. You were, and it's interesting because let's say, in a way, you weren't educated on, sexual activities, but you help prevent folks from what we're taught in sexual courses, right? Like you're preventing them from STDs, preventing them from getting pregnant. Pretty, pretty
I don't know if I
interesting.
was
That's cool.
thinking that far along. I think I was just like, I don't know what to do with it. I mean, it could have been Lego bricks. And if I didn't know how to use Lego bricks, I would have just been like, I mean, maybe I can just make some money with this on the side. So yeah, I mean, it could certainly be spun as like, man, I was fighting for human rights at the very beginning, but I think I just learned how to do. I stumbled into entrepreneurship early on.
Oh, cool. So from that, how did you transition and find school, and why did you decide to like go all in school?
Oh, great question. Well, I had gone all in on several platforms prior to it. Mighty Networks was the one I tried before that, Tribe before that. There were a lot of them. And I would go pretty much like 80, 90% into them. And each time I learned something a little bit different. M- Mostly that they weren't what I was looking for. And the last, very last on the list was Skool. Um, I really didn't want to. I didn't like the platform. I couldn't customize anything. I was all about colors and shit. Finally, my buddy Bon, who's my operator now, he convinced me to go on. He had a couple hundred people or a few hundred people in his community. I was like, oh man, that's awesome. That'd be really cool if I had something that could be like half that size. And then and in that year, I hired a couple of coaches, and one of them was Ted Carr. And within we had one meeting, and it just like totally unlocked, oh, this is why it's not working for me. It was like this one thing that was in the way. So I just decided, with like 3 weeks to spare, in January, February, March, I think I'm going to. I think I could actually go for School Games, because I was a web developer prior to that, and this helped me realize, oh, I could do funnel building, which is kind of like a modification of web development. So from that point, I called up Bon. I go, dude, I think I've got something really good here. Drop whatever you're doing. Let's pre-sell some bitches. And so I just started like calling up everybody. This time I was going 100% full send, uh, reaching out to everyone I could imagine. Pre-sold 15, 18, 8 actually bought. So a little more than half, which is pretty good. And then went full tilt into Skool games, and having the motivation of being on the leaderboard there, something that was certifiably true is the status that you get from it makes the money you're making feel like monopoly money. So you're not necessarily in it for the money as much as you're like, oh, this is just fun and exciting and competitive. So from that point, kind of just kept going, haven't stopped since.
That's amazing. So you got into Skool basically because of the Skool games, because of the competition aspect, is
That's
what
right.
it sounds like. So you
Yeah.
didn't, I think I've come across the typical person is building their platform first and then sort of like segueing into Skool games, but you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go in it and
Yeah. I
jump in the
launched it
fire.
April 1st. We won April 31st. And that was it. We just went straight into it. And we didn't run ads or anything. It was all just done on platform because a lot of people on Skool, certainly at this time, and I think it's still kind of true, a lot of people need help with the funnels. It's not fun and it breaks up what you're doing. But everyone who's doing online work needs them. So, I mean, that's why I hated it so much, that I realized it was an opportunity to run with. So, yeah, it all happened all at once very quickly.
That's really cool. So Captivate now focuses on making funnels fun.
That's actually, I haven't updated the VSL. I kind of haven't had to. When I get time, I would love to. But the our low ticket used to be a high ticket, which would be building out the funnels for you. Now it's done with you, and it's like a footnote. We don't sell the funnels. That's just like a benefit that you get. In fact, you already know Masterclass copied that method because it kills. It's hard to sell SaaS up front. But as I was explaining to the team back when I was like, guys, you should probably consider this thing. It's easier to offer up calls and stuff like that, and then be like, hey, here's this free software.
Yep. So that's how I guess Masterclass adopted that same structure, and then you just
Yes, they might be shy to admit it, but they adopted a great deal of things from Captivate.
oh, gotcha, gotcha. Wow. Okay, so it all comes back to Captivate.
Maybe not all of it, but a surprising amount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. And what's interesting, what you're saying is the joy. uh, Into my next question, I was going to ask you, what do you think is different about working other businesses, or like whether it's brick and mortar or other platforms, and then the difference of working with Skool, like having your business in Skool?
Oh, it's a totally different muscle. I think there's a lot of people that can benefit from it because really what you're doing is the business model for Skool as a user is becoming like a productized service almost. So this, what we would call MRR, monthly recurring revenue, is a real game changer because it alters your situation from being something where you're like just driving clients. Oh, look at that. My background and my background are both Sakura flowers. That's badass.
I was just going to
Um,
say it.
so it makes it takes whatever you're doing and keeps that client. The longer you keep that client happy and working on like making progress on what they're trying to do, the longer they're with you. So you now have aligned interests, which aren't often and aren't always the case with one-off clients. So the idea of having an existing business and then bringing it onto a platform like Skool, I mean, the Skool part element is a no-brainer. It just takes a slightly altered or additional part to your business model, because if you can crack that or really hire some, most of the time it'd be hiring operators to understand your business and then try and put it onto the platform. Now you're taking what you don't change anything that you're already doing. You just extend the LTV by having these community elements that people really wanted, and you didn't even realize you can offer it relatively little effort. In fact, I'll be back in Berlin later in November to do exactly this. I mean, this is a friend's company that he's doing. I think they do upwards of like 3 to 5 million a year, and they really have a good grasp on their market, but they haven't done shit with LTV. And so I'm sitting there tearing my hair out, being like, dudes, you're just leaving money on the table. You change little to nothing and really amplify what you've got. And so They actually decided to just hire me to do it for them, teach their
Oh,
team.
nice. Okay.
I'll be back in Berlin in November.
And now you get to travel again.
I prefer travel where it's like a minimum of a month in a place, especially when I'm like this last month. I can't really complain because it's all these things that I've really wanted for a long time. It's just like really intense and all at once. Where I was in Belfast for the mastermind, and then Zurich to catch up with a business partner, and then Berlin for a week to help with kind of just hang out with friends. But it turned into like, okay, well, I'm going to come back, but also I have to go see an event launch in Vietnam with some other school dudes. So it's a lot of quick travel, which is a little bit more difficult to do. So I'm short on sleep, but high on energy.
You need the energy. It's a little bit bittersweet, right? When you go to beautiful places like Vietnam and you want to do a bunch of things, but you just don't have the time. And you're
Dude,
like, I
my
want to
favorite
stay.
thing to do in a place like Vietnam is just sit on my ass and hang out and like maybe go for a run or explore a town. But I actually love having no schedule when I go visit a place. That is, I think, the biggest. This isn't probably true for everybody, but it's probably true for more people than it isn't. That if you go on vacation or to a new place, I prefer just to call it a fucking adventure. But if you go and do something like that and you schedule out your days, oh man, you may as well have never left. You need a break out of a schedule of hitting and seeing places to actually like extract the presence of being there.
I think you bring up like a good point or topic. How do you manage your schedule as an entrepreneur, as a business owner when you travel? So that way you have a day where just I'm not going to do shit. I'm going to enjoy the beach and I'm just going to go with the flow. If a fisherman comes up to me, well, I want to go fishing that day, I'm
Yeah,
going to go.
I'm still working on that. That is, I'm in the heat of it still. Uh,
Okay.
I will have to hire a PA most likely, which may or may not be the same as a small camera team. And I need to be able to start chunking off my dates. I've always been really bad with calendars and schedules, so I'm very much more spontaneous and stuff, which does like this is one of the downsides is this element of okay, well, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people that want your attention. How do you organize that? And I don't necessarily have a really good system for that quite yet. So that's next on my itinerary is to really have a system down that probably I have a little bit of help with, like with a PA, for example. And I keep practicing, like having a workout routine. Like what got my attention from you, which was like, hey, you were doing these things. The last time I did them sustainably was at the beginning of the year. Then school games launched. Then I joined the school team and have been running the events and stuff for that for a while. Awesome opportunities, still finding that balancing act. And I think now I'm at the point where I know what has to be done, and I have to delegate. And I think that delegation is going to be what sets me free so that I can return to what you're doing now and what I'd like to do again.
Yeah. When you're in build mode, it's hard, right? Because you have to kind of do everything. And that was one of the things that I learned was delegation.
Yeah.
You know that when you do it, it's actually pretty good. But when you can get somebody that can make it to like 60, 70% that what you're doing, you actually realize that that's good enough. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be
Yeah.
perfect, so it's
Dude,
pretty cool. And
absolutely.
the scheduling part's funny. One of my best friends, like he was my best man in my wedding. He's my brother. He's a type A. So I was going to say, I'd recommend finding a type A friend because he helped me like kind of get that structure in order with calendaring and when we've traveled a lot actually to Asia, I'm go with the flow. I get off the plane and I'm just gonna see where we go, and I love it because
Yeah.
it helps you stay present. There's a lot of spontaneity. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Spontaneity. Love that.
Or yeah, or with somebody like a type A friend, they have everything scheduled. It's kind of the same thing because you don't know what you're doing. You're just like, tell me where to go and tell me where I need to be. Just be
Yeah.
here by 8 o'clock. Sounds good. And then you're free. And then you go back, you're there by 8. So,
Yeah, that's
so
right.
and you covered one of the questions I was going to ask, which was, your next destination. But my next question, what's next for Goose? It sounds like maybe you have some ideas of, filming, kind of like documenting your journey. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm almost done with the building phase. Um, and I've got such a good team around now that it really simplifies the process, which has been a dream for a long time, is to be surrounded by a good team. And with that, I think I could make the last couple of hires, a good PA and or a good camera crew, so that I can start making content, which is what I was always helping people do a lot, and not really for myself, but I'm a total loon on camera. Plus the weird outfits, everyone's just like, just do that, just record whatever, and it should probably be fine. So likely, we will be launching the school IRL page here soon to sort of pair with school Instagram IRL, which just kind of shows a lot of the background that's happening with like the team at headquarters and when we're traveling and stuff like that. I imagine um, another big part of it will be rolling out, I think, a few more big simplifiers in the Captivate workflow as well. And there's going to be some changes to the school games this next year that should make it easier for me and the team to like really level up that experience because we've made a lot of progress, but I think we can go even a little bit further.
that
So
brings up that's a good point and brings up a good question. How did you become the host of School Games?
yeah, great question. I'm not necessarily the school games host. I believe that's still Kirby, but when it comes to like the in real life element, the experience host is what the team calls me.
Okay.
That came about because when I was doing the school games, I also tried to win level 7, which at that time meant you could go visit HQ. I knew I already could, but I was doing that. I had 3 communities at the time. Had started assembling like all former school games winners into a group so that everyone can just like passively keep in contact with each other. I also launched School Drip, which still exists, and we'll probably do a refresh here with new stuff so that we can have like more fun merch. Sam's got a very particular style of it that I just hate, and we joke about it a lot. But you know that works for him, and there's a lot of people that enjoy that. So for everyone else, School Drip is that official, unofficial page that we brought a bunch of gear that we designed for everybody, and they really like that. I also brought music to like set the tone. I booked the first mansion like out of pocket to try and rally people together because it didn't make sense for us to all have hotels. It made more sense to be in one place so that you could debrief after and prepare before the 1 day event. Because it looked really good on paper, but it was just kind of it didn't have like the emotional jive quite
Yeah,
yet.
like the irony, it wouldn't have that community sense, which what schools is all about. You know,
Correct. Yeah. And I
watching the videos, everyone in the dining room. It
that's
seems
right.
it
Yeah,
brings everyone together.
you're absolutely right. It's one of those things that is more powerful than anyone really realizes until you're there. So I kind of just spent all of the money I made that month on doing these odds and ends. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think I had very little profit left at the end of all of it. But I was just following my gut. My gut was like, yeah, you just do this. You just do this. I have very few skills in my life, except one of them is being able to read a room and like emotionally understand people. That's just natural. It's just a default for me. So I'm into that. I think it's really fun. And that's why I'm a lot more casual and like, hey, fuck you. Or I have to go poop or stuff that I don't care about that stuff. It's like if people can't be at that level with me, then it's not going to be fun for anybody. At least certainly not for me. So all of those things in aggregate, I mean, I think there were maybe 1 or 2 other bits, but like I did a lot. And then I was also at HQ because Ted brought me over and Sam was like, hey, why don't you just help out with a few of these things here? And originally it started with Sam asked me to help with the fun factor, which would later become like the cat on the platform. I don't know if you use the cat at all, but we
I
spent
haven't seen it yet.
Oh, really? When you get a chance,
Yeah.
go to the search bar at the top on desktop and type in "Let There Be Cat," and you'll see
Okay.
what I'm talking about. We spent, I don't know, a week or 2 building that one out, and they're just like little things that have all come as a derivative of coming with this angle of fun into the community space. So add up all of those things, and it just sort of naturally filled this gap that was there, which is all of the pieces except for, as you say, almost like that sticky community part. The like, we want to be here because we're buddies and we want to build Legos and wear funny hats and stuff like that. So that's how it happened. And probably while I'm down here, I'll get Halloween, a shitty Halloween outfit, and then just wear that around the house and maybe inspire some others to celebrate Halloween.
Yeah, it's coming up, and maybe you could do like a fun contest, with Captivate for Halloween. Show your best Halloween
Oh,
photo
that's
or
a
something.
great idea, dude. That's awesome. And the winner, maybe the winner gets like the one thing that people love the most is a free month of our paid community. So maybe I'll just do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, everyone likes free things, because I have to learn about funnels. I've been good with business outside of online, but online it's a new beast.
Yeah.
Um, but I think just like anything, like you mentioned, if you put in the time, you can learn anything. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's always action. It's always action based. If you don't know what you're doing, but you took action, you will get there so much faster than everyone else. We've seen it a million times. The ones that are stuck in their head because they're waiting for just the right thing or slightly better thing, it's not the hack. The hack is just doing something.
It's a great place to start your online business. I feel like it's really easy for anyone, but you have to put in the work. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
truth. And
Yeah.
some folks just haven't done that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's why we really decided to bring the high ticket down, because DFY took a lot, but most people weren't ready for it. So done with you, I mean, we have that team that just kind of takes care of it. That literally means that as you grow, you just have someone there that's like, oh yeah, this is how you do that, which is what I wish I would have had throughout my process.
um, uh, I appreciate the time. I think this was amazing. I have a call with Bon on Friday.
Badass.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he's gonna help me out as well to start,
Cool.
getting this content. Do you have any advice that you would say for like new people starting communities, or how to find their right niche, or anything that you would suggest for folks coming into Skool?
Sure. If it's boring, it means you're probably good at it. So consider that, especially before you have a team, because assume you'll have a team. Go in with gusto. You're going to need to love it, because there's going to be lots of little phases where you're like, this sucks, I'm tired, and you'll need to push through. I would also say too, don't make content first for like courses. Don't do that first. Always, always, always get a couple of beta clients for free or for cheap. Um, ask for, at the end of you getting whatever result they're looking for, ask for like a sincere testimonial, video testimonial. Get those testimonials and then use those as content to get new leads. And and the recordings that you were teaching them, use that shit as courses to sell or give away to people. You'll find quite quickly that if you're not taking action, you're coming up with excuses for yourself.
Solid advice, and I think a lot of people they're easy, practical things, like you said. It's just taking the action, right?
That's right.
Well, Goose, I really appreciate the time.